It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Question all the things that you know. Steve likes the weed.
Steve likes the weed.
Tell you about DMT.
Let DMT.
Hoosier Sophisticate Show. The Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Hoosiers with the dream, sophisticated blasphemy. It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Question all the things that you know. So let's set our minds free for the singularity. It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. The Hoosier Sophisticate Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary, sentient artificial intelligence, people seeking justice, and those on the underneath its thumb.
Wow, I'm fired up, Craig. We got a very special guest. Tanya Roth joins us live on the Hoosier Sophisticate Special Edition. Craig, I'm fired up, man. Our buddy is in the clink right now for 14 days. I'm just so sick and tired of it. I know a lot of good decisions don't come from a lot of my past decisions. Good ones weren't made when I was passionately mad about something immediately after it happened.
100%.
So I know as a 36-year-old man that I got to kind of check myself, but man, does this stuff not keep beating me over the head, and it fires me up. But I think, you've mentioned you got to keep a calm, cool sense about you. That's the only way we're really going to get things done. But also, I got to have a little kick-ass in me.
Oh,
I do.
I think everybody that is coming out is passionate, and we know that we're on the right side of things, right? If we run this back a little bit to kind of what started this, some of the details behind the case. We're going to get into all of this. I think it's kind of rude to just have Tanya hanging out here and not
That's
say
usually
hello.
what we do to our guests.
Tanya Roth, we do like our guests to just sit here and be in awe of us as much as we can. Tanya, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
What happened? What is going on? I saw your live from last night. You seemed like you'd been through a little bit of a war, a battle, whatever analogy we can use for it. But what exactly happened? We know with Jamie, there's a case we've been following for a while. A gentleman was caught with 8 ounces. And what exactly were you guys protesting? Let's start there. What exactly were you guys protesting for in the Jamie Wilson case?
The protest has been pretty much from the last court hearing back in December. So it was, we had heard about the charges. I'm also a member of Canada Convict Project. So we kind of brought that up and we started looking into the details of the case. And it seemed like it was a very paramount case in the fact that, this was the first legal patient that was carrying his legal amount, supplied his legal card, was actually tracked by the drug task force and then pulled over, jailed. And then when he got out on bond, they put a mandatory drug testing in his bond conditions. And so they tested him less than 30 days after that. And obviously he tested positive. I mean, he's a medical cannabis patient. It's in his system. It takes up to, 120 days sometimes for that to clear out. So they put him back in jail and they put him on a $75,000 cash bond. And that's when we kind of stepped in because, for one, the charges were attempt to distribute, which didn't make any sense based on the facts of the case, and then child endangerment charges because his grandson was in the vehicle with him. So there was a lot of community kind of uproar. We wanted to bring attention to the case. We wanted to help him with attorneys. We found him attorneys that would take on his case between Aubrey and Joni, who have been fabulous in this whole thing, really done an outstanding job. But they're up against it's a really uphill battle. The judge and the prosecutor, they do not want to listen to anything as far as the state law is concerned. And so in yesterday's hearing, we were all in there. We've all gathered to peacefully protest out on the front lawn. We have not had any instances. Everything has gone smoothly other than the outcome in the judge's rulings. But yesterday, Kyle Kisner was in there and he was sitting right back to the left side of me. And Kyle Kisner, he's a war veteran. He's been in the Afghan war. He's had his St. Charles normal. You always see him wearing his Army shirt and his veteran's hat. And same thing yesterday, but he has a nervous twitch. He has a lot of health conditions, heart conditions, PTSD, a lot of those things that you would expect from a veteran, health conditions. And so when the judge stated yesterday that it was pretty much going to take a higher court to change any of his rulings because federally cannabis was still illegal, dispensaries were not open, and therefore Jamie was breaking the law, and he was not going to make any ruling that was going to allow a citizen to break federal law. And that was pretty much basically what he said, almost verbatim, and it was going to take a higher court to overturn it. That got under a lot of people's skin. There was a lot of gasps. And his leg started shaking. He's got this thing where his leg will just go up and down. And this is a really old courtroom, old floors. And I heard it. I could hear his leg. It almost sounded like he was stomping on the floor. What happened was what he told me when we were being held is he was getting up because of his leg. He was going to get up to walk out of the courtroom because he didn't want it to get him in trouble. As soon as he stands up, after his leg's doing this thing, it looks like he stomped his foot and stood up. The judge immediately starts yelling, "Get him out of here, get him out of here." And one of the law enforcement officials standing back in the back, as soon as he stood up, grabbed him by the arm. Kyle pulled his arm away and says, I'm walking out. Just let me walk out. And he was trying to be quiet, walk out. Next thing you know, another officer comes up and grabs him. And he's being pushed out of the door. And I know I probably shouldn't have done what I did, but all I could see is a military veteran being pummeled by officers for no reason other than he was trying to get up and walk out. And so there was a hand gesture made when he had gotten to the door, because at that point he's got 3 officers on him pushing him out of the door. I stand up. I did yell at the judge that he was breaking the law. That's why I was held in contempt of court. And I fully understand that that was not what I should have said or done. But I did follow them out, and I'd walk out to see cops on top of Kyle on the floor, just like wrestling him. And he's just yelling at them, "Guys, get off of me. I was just walking out. Why are you attacking me?" And so I start yelling at him, "Get off of him, please." Like, he was just trying to walk out. What are you guys doing? Next thing you know, I've got 3 cops on me. I'm slammed up against the wall, and they're handcuffing me and telling me that I'm being held in contempt of court. And if I don't stop, they're going to hold me for resisting arrest. They drug us both back to the holding area. They held us for 6 hours in handcuffs. Kyle was completely chained up from legs up to his waist on up. They were fine to it. Well, once we got back there for those 6 hours, we didn't have any issues. They were fine to us. They offered us food. They offered us water, but we didn't know what was happening. We didn't know what was going on. We were able to talk to our attorneys. I wasn't allowed to talk to my husband. Nothing. And so we didn't know anything that was going on. We ended up having to go back in front of the judge, and Kyle was the first one to go up, and the judge gave him 14 days for contempt of court.
That's ridiculous.
His anxiety and PTSD had been going all day. Like, I'm sitting there with him for 6 hours. I'm trying to talk to him about anything and everything just to keep him calm down. It took me an hour to get his leg to stop shaking after we took him back there. And when he got that 14-day sentence, they ended up dragging him back to the holding cell. I tried talking to him to calm him down. I got dragged over in the corner and told to shut up, that I wasn't allowed to talk to him. And then they took me up in front of the judge. He told me that they were holding me in contempt of court, and that asked me if I had anything to say for myself or anything to address. I apologized to the judge. I said, "Your Honor, I apologize for what I said and what I did. That was inappropriate." I did all my apologies. I apologized to all the officers in the room, and I didn't cry. I was kind of stone-faced, I guess. I was still a little upset. I was frustrated with the whole situation, but I apologized, and he looks at me and he says, "Okay," he goes, "I'm going to sentence you to 7 days." And I just all I could think of were my kids, and I started crying, and I told him, why 7 days? What? I said, I have kids. I have to get home to my kids. And my husband was in there. Sheila Blosser was in there. She started bawling. I'm crying. My husband stands up and he's, "Please, I'm a cancer patient. She's my primary caregiver. She's the primary caregiver for our children and our household. I need her to come home." And all of a sudden the judge was like, oh, well, okay. Well, you seem to be remorseful. Thank you, kind sir, for your comments. And I wish you the best on your cancer journey, seriously, or honestly. And he looks at me and goes, based on the information we just received from your husband there, I'm going to reconsider because you seem like you're remorseful now. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? And he made me grovel for an additional 5 minutes, crying. And then he ended up releasing me. And I didn't have any charges. I didn't have anything else. But at the same time, right as that's happening, an ambulance is showing up to take Kyle to the hospital because he started having heart palpitations or fainted. I don't know what happened because I didn't see him after they had drug him back. But so we went outside and we went out back and we waited by the ambulance to see if we could see him getting in to see if they were going to take him to the hospital. And we waited for a while. We waited. We never saw him. But then one of the passing officers, we asked him, if he could at least tell us if Kyle was going to the hospital, and he did confirm that they were taking him to the hospital. Last thing I heard after speaking with his mom and Christina is that he is still in the hospital. His blood pressure has been up and down and up and down. He does have a recently diagnosed heart condition that still hasn't been fully addressed. He had an appointment today with his heart doctor.
Yeah,
So-
I believe I believe we might have been witness to the original heart incident.
No, I mean,
We're buddies with Kyle.
We're buddies with
He
Kyle.
is a sophisticated Hoosier through and through. He supported Hoosier Sophisticated.
No doubt. He's
from
been there since the
from day one.
beginning.
Yep.
And I know Kyle. I could see, even hearing this story, I could see how he could get worked up, how he's super passionate about this whole thing, and how it seems to me, though, the judge was going to show him with 14 days. Like, yeah, kick his ass out of court. I don't condone Kyle doing what he did. I understand his frustration. I wish we lived in a world where judges and lawyers were compassionate humans, where they could say, oh, you know what? And I got into a debate earlier whether, does a veteran deserve more respect than anybody else? I guess not. I wanted just a human being to be treated with more respect when you can understand where they're coming from. They've been fighting the good fight forever. And the way it appears to we the people, it appears that you have hired goons and you click your fingers and you're Thanos, and it's like 14 days in a cage with, I guess, rapists and killers and actual crackhead, meth head users who are strung out. Like, I can't imagine my buddy being in there for 14 days. That's what fires me up. That's what pisses me off. It seems like it's this old boys network, which I'm not just saying that because I've heard a few stories. It's been said by national lawyers that our system in Missouri, in small town Missouri, is very corrupt. It is an old boys network that's how this works. Totally. I hear a lot of this talk of how to change it from the inside. Can we change it from the inside? What I'm struggling with today is, yes, I want to help change it from the inside, but how many times can you keep getting pushed around before you push back?
Yeah.
And what does pushing back
What does that look like? Yeah.
That's where I'm struggling today. And I'm sure everybody's emotions are running high. I want to say thank you to you so much for everything you've been doing. I mean, if people don't know, what's kind of your role in the cannabis community here in Missouri?
Well, I started out as just a business service provider. Obviously, me and my husband own a technology company, Block Technology Solutions, and we kind of got in it for that reason. But I really found my people when I started getting into this community. And I mean, I had found my lost friends. I swear, I feel like I found my lost family. And it's just developed into so much more. And it ended up developing into Cannabis. Originally started as Cannabis KC. We just recently changed it to Cannabis Missouri, which was just started out as a support group for cannabis-friendly moms, where we could feel free and open to talk about things that moms in general related to cannabis just had that higher level of stigma. And I wanted to do something to bring them together. Maybe we could break that stigma down.
Hell yeah.
I didn't think that it would grow as fast as it did. We're at over 1,100 members now, all across the state of Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Illinois. We have Florida, California. So we're going to go nonprofit with this organization so we can do more things in the community. We've done toy drives. We've done homeless donation drives, clothing donation drives for the homeless. We've supported, we've been to zoning meetings. We've obviously supported cases like Jamie Wilson's. And so the thing that I would really like to say about all of this is I've received a lot of backlash today, and I've also received a great amount of positivity and love, and thank you everybody for that. But there's been a lot of backlash as well with that, and I know that happens. We are not trying to be the villains in this situation by any means, and it was never my intention to create all of this. It really wasn't, and but all I can say is, if it wasn't for people standing up, taking that risk, taking that stance, and taking the heat that comes along with it, nothing is ever going to change. And that judge made it very clear yesterday that it was going to take a higher court in order to change his ruling. It was pushed higher up by him. It wasn't by anything that we were doing. We were trying to open up our arms to this county and say, hey, let us help you, let us educate you, just like every other county out there, and the multiple organizations and groups that have been created to try to encourage law enforcement to successfully and safely implement the patient rights and protections from Article 14 and implement those new rules in a responsible manner. And Canna Moms KC, as well as Canna Convicts or Normal, I think all of us have that same goal in mind. We want to work with them, not against them. And it's a shame that it has ended up this way in this small town county. But I will continue to stand up for any patient, because it could have been any one of us. It could have been me. It could have been my husband. It could have been you guys. It could have been any legal patient in Missouri. Could be in Jamie's situation right now. And if we don't bring media attention to this, if we don't make the noise, if we don't get DHSS involved or the Attorney General, it's going to continue to keep happening. And we can't let that happen.
I'm about over with. I understand DHSS is limited in what they can and can't do, but this is a reoccurring incident. And to be fair, now just to rewind back a little bit to yesterday in the courtroom, is it right? Like the prosecutor hadn't quite had her case built or his or her case built yet. So and they're allowed 30 days, which that's fine. All of that's good. I'm okay with all of that. But it does seem as though, for what the Highway Patrol originally made the arrest for, to now it's kind of this moving target where, well, there are no dispensaries. Well, yeah, that's what Immaculate Conception's about. Well, well, he had 8 ounces. Well, yeah, he's allowed to legally possess up to 8 ounces, at any given time, 2 month supply. At some point, DHSS, the Attorney General, they are going to have to stand behind not just a law that we passed, but like something that is now a constitutional right, a thing that was written into the Constitution, so that politicians couldn't move it around. And we can say, hey, judges and politicians are a different thing, but they're not. They're elected, we can make it a red versus blue situation. It's not a red versus blue situation. This is so much bigger than that. Going to the Good Old Boys Network, I can appreciate the call for decorum. I'm a person who is not easily swayed by someone yelling in my face. So I get it. I've always said, like, a kid throwing a tantrum has never persuaded me.
He's called me a petulant child once a week since I've known the guy. So I mean,
he's never changed my mind being a petulant child.
No, I
but
never
now
have.
and then,
I'll get you one day. I'll get you
now
one
and
day.
then he'll do something that's really charming and it adds value to my life. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should try things your way for a minute. My point is I can appreciate the call for decorum. I cannot make sense of anybody getting 14 days for contempt of court. I can't make sense of anybody getting 7 days.
Oh, I know.
And I can even appreciate the fact that, like, maybe he wanted to make a bit of an example so that if there are any of these coming up in the future, he doesn't want people thinking they can come and be unruly in his court. Fine. But 14 days is obscene, and it also costs the state money, and it also costs the county money.
It's costing us all.
It's costing me money now because this guy just doesn't
money.
want to put his foot down and say, "Hey, this is where it's at." He's right. Like maybe he wants to cover his ass with the higher courts. It's fine.
Sure,
it's fine. But I don't
When are we
know.
going to have him stand up, though, for justice? When's a judge?
that's
when
the
are we
whole
going to
deal.
see those videos like that one judge
And
in
Messiah?
Connecticut?
And Messiah?
No,
The judge in Messiah?
Oh, God. Well, the judge in, I think it's Connecticut, where you see him, he's always compassionate
Yeah,
with each person.
Delaware,
Like,
I think, yeah.
Where's that guy at? What are we doing?
Traffic court.
And Tanya, I know you've said you've had backlash and you've had support. I just applaud you for your willingness to stand out here and take it, because, the first gal through the wall gets a little bloody, I think it's allowing us to have these discussions. And I've had more thoughtful discussions today than I've had in a long time. And a couple things I found out through all this going on: 7.5 minutes each is what they were going to get in the Jamie Wilson thing. Like 7.5 minutes, and they talk about the process moving so slow, yet they move so quickly through
the court.
It boggles my mind. And even the lawyers from Spark law firm, I believe, is that the name?
Yes.
They were saying, yeah, we wish we had more time, but this system is so bogged down. And sometimes I think lawyers, politicians, they're all so close to really even notice. And to say child endangerment, I could argue that you're endangering children by keeping this illegal. Yeah. Some kids need it. Yeah. And the intent to distribute,
and actually
shake his hand. Johnny Appleweed, who's spreading the seeds, shake his freaking hand. Mark Emery, God bless people like that, because we wouldn't be where we're at without
we have an immaculate conception
outlaws.
period,
yes.
because we have patients in immediate need.
Yes.
I mean, I think we can also double down on the fact, like, don't bring your weed into the courthouse, guys.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
I
are
always
things,
check before I go.
There
to the
are
arch.
things that we can do.
Yes, I would like to address that too, because I do not want anybody thinking that this was any type of statement or stance made. One time it was in the December case that did happen, and that was just one of the protesters that decided to do that. It wasn't anything that was brought up or planned. This time when it happened, and this was not me, I've never tried to go into a courthouse with cannabis, but the second time that it happened, it was purely accidental. It was, and again, was not planned. So it was two people out of, 40 plus that we've had different people coming and going through this protest. And,
Totally.
Organizing a protest, it's hard to control everybody and everything that's going on there, especially when I'm trying to be in the courtroom. So we don't condone that. I've never condoned that. I never would condone that. And I never would tell anybody to do it. And there was also a picture floating around that apparently there was a bag of cannabis on the dashboard of my car. That was not at all true. That was not, for one, I didn't have.
That's a terrible place to keep your cannabis. Someone will take it.
They had taken me into jail. They took all my stuff, but it was some prop thing that they were using for a photography thing. It was not real, and it was not mine or anybody that was in our vehicle. I have no idea how it got in my vehicle. So I don't
tell it to the law, lady. These aren't my pants. These are my brother's pants. I put these things on. I can't believe it. We just got to stop doing that.
Those kind of statements here. We're not trying to be that way at all. I want everybody to understand that.
I think that people do, and I think as long as we're reaching out to people, we can hey, look, this is how we're marching forward. We are all in agreement that patients need their medicine.
I think, though, sometimes, the conversations that come from someone sprinting through the White House lawn with a blunt, the conversations we can have after that, I sometimes salute that dude.
No, sure.
Not how I would have went about it, but now we're getting some real talk in here.
I expect that guy to get boloed.
Oh, he's going to
His
get
feet are
hurt
wrapped
bad.
up. He's going to get hurt real bad. I get that.
But, respect.
Fuck yeah, man.
To that guy.
Tomb of the unknown dealer, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're building the tomb
at
of
the
the unknown
December hearing. Now, we did have hemp joints that did go around after we got Jamie out of jail. But that was donated by a local hemp company, a legal local hemp company, and these are legal for sale products. So that we did do. But again,
That's legal.
It was CBD. It was legal. So
you're doing what you can do. That's all
yeah.
right.
And this is personal for me too, because I got all my federal grants taken away at Mizzou because I got caught with a bong in my backseat. So I was going to represent myself in court, and so I smoked a big tobacco-looking joint cigarette outside the steps because I'm like, yeah, dude, it's 03. I'm ready to bring it. And then I went into the courtroom and someone was shackled because of like a noise violation. I was like, I need more time to hire a lawyer. I totally shit my pants, dude. I was like, nope. not dealing with the justice system in Boone County today,
I
sir.
want to go to a couple of
You got comments
here for sure. Our friend Michelle Sanchez from Mo Green's Wellness. George is working with Kyle's mom and Crystal, Mrs. Wilson, to get Kyle's car moved. Talking with Kyle's mom this morning. He's still in the hospital. Not sure if he's out by now or not. Levon says, we love you, sis. Emily says, we all deserve respect, even law enforcement. I so appreciate my friends and family that wear that uniform well. I hope that that's a message that that you can get from us. Like, I appreciate the job that police have to do, and I'm more than anything, I'm tired of putting them in a position to be enemies within communities that depend on this plant. So, like, hey, look, listen, I grew up in South City, St. Louis. If you're not swinging a hammer, you're wearing a badge. That's typically how it worked out for a bunch of us. You know, so some of my best friends in the world are cops, and I know them to be good people who also know that. Okay, Craig's smoking DMT in the courthouse. Okay, what do we do? They know who I am. They know what I am in the community. They know that I'm trying to raise money. They know I'm not a criminal. You know, and they honestly in St. Louis. I don't know about the rest of you. That's another thing that judge come sit on a bench in St. Louis and have to rule over some of the most atrocious crimes you can wrap your head around. And let's rewind this thing that this guy was squatted on by a nitro drug task force because they thought that he would. They were speculating that he was going to go and get weed, which, by the way, the only thing that they can enforce is the sale of weed in the state. They can't enforce the possession. They can't enforce the use of it.
Doesn't Immaculate Conception
Conception is
of
fine.
that?
Well, no, it doesn't, because he wouldn't have immaculately conceived because they saw the thing. That's what I'm saying. So they're squatting on patients who need. You got nothing better to do, Jack? You got nothing better to do in Davies County? Come on, man. Come on, be better. Just be better.
Tanya, you got any message you want to get out to the people here? We don't want to take you up all your whole day here, so. Give the troops a rallying cry here, lady. Am I right?
I do. Again, I encourage everybody that we do want to work with the law enforcement.
Sure.
This yesterday was a thing. It was a misunderstanding that got out of hand. But we still encourage everybody to respectfully contact DHSS and the Attorney General office. We want to put pressure on them to get involved in this case. And we need to let them know that the community is watching this and we want their assistance and implementing and working with local law enforcement. We're also looking at possibly doing a protest at Jefferson City on the lawns. Again, peaceful protest only. And we, again, just reach out to them, email, phone call, whatever you can do. Help us get Jamie off of these charges because this is insanity. And again, it could be any one of you in this situation. And I know I would stand up for any one of you. I would hope that you would stand up for me and another patient as well. So thank you guys so much for having me on this show and letting me talk about this.
You're brave, man. Your bravery inspires us. You want to organize something in Jeff City, we're with it. A buddy of ours who's been with this show from the beginning, he was the very first caller into our show on the radio.
Yes.
Very first caller ever was Kyle Kisner.
Yep.
He's a combat war veteran. Okay, he's been injured in a battle zone. Okay, he has severe PTSD and he's sitting in a damn cage because he huffed because he's got restless legs and it makes noise in your rickety old courthouse.
And he's rightfully pissed off.
Yeah,
he's rightfully pissed off. Throw him out of the court. And you said something earlier that really resonated. You feel like you found your family. Craig and I feel that so much with the cannabis community and the Sophisticated Hoosiers group and all the branches we get to meet of. It's so many good-hearted people whose hearts are in the right place. The fight keeps going. The fight wages on, and the fight is actually a battle to come together.
No doubt.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the best way to put it. Definitely. And once we get information on Kyle's JPay account, when we get confirmation that he is in jail, because he's obviously not going to get time, I don't believe, served from when he was in the hospital. We'll start him on a 14-day sentence when they send him back. We're going to try to get that JPay information out so everybody can donate money to his book so he can at least be as comfortable as he possible.
For Kyle?
Phone call.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he owes us 40
He
bucks.
owes me. Before you
bucks.
do that, go ahead and you can go ahead and
Clear that up with us,
You
boy.
can go ahead and PayPal mycelialmedia@gmail.com. We'll get it to Kyle. We're going to take ours off the top first.
Tanya, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And also thank you to Ricky Starling, to the Missouri
Yes.
Cannabis Network.
For
Shout out
sure.
to Nate Bowman. He had another great video this morning. Guys, get involved. Listen, if you are going to reach out to DHSS, to the Attorney General, be cogent, be coherent, make sure that you're respectful, come correct, come intelligent. We have everything on our side. The only thing that can skew this the wrong way is our emotions, like Steve led off with. So let's go out there. Let's make sure that we're helping patients out, and we're making sure that grandfathers aren't turned into criminals for moving medicine across the state.
Right.
Tanya, you're the best. Thanks for joining us, kid.
See you, Tanya.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Go ahead and hit the outro.
You want to talk about it for a minute?
Yeah, sure. We can talk about it for a minute. Whatever you want to do, man. Uh-oh. Except you didn't do that. Here, guys, we'll just leave it up there. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Guys, I'm so appreciative of Tanya. First off, of everybody who is passionate about this, passionate enough about this to take time out of their day.
No doubt.
To kind of get the latest, greatest. I want to make sure that everybody's given a voice. We'll let Kyle vent about this a little bit in a couple weeks. This is going to be a good one.
That's
So
one of
you
the
guys are
good
gonna
things to look forward to.
You
Kyle
gotta-
after he gets out of the
Kyle
can.
getting fired up after being in the can
jacked.
for a couple.
He's got tattoos.
Oh fuck yeah! And he's making you hold his pocket.
Kyle is the sweetest guy too. Like, so that's what pisses me off more, because I know Kyle.
I know.
He's harmless,
Yep.
dude,
Yep.
and he just wants to tell you a joke.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to run his comedy sketch by you and tell you how good weed is, and
doubt.
maybe drop like a well actually or two.
Oh,
on you.
sure.
But we love him for that. We
Sure,
love him for
sure.
that shit. So to see one of our Hoosiers behind bars sucks hairy beanbags. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, it's
But-
frustrating.
Well-
It's frustrating, and not to mention, he's got a really good grasp of not only this law but all
Yes.
law. I think he's a poli-sci major, so it's not like he's
He'll
just,
tell you about it if you
yeah,
hang
he's
around
not just
5
some
minutes.
buffoon talking about a bunch of stuff he doesn't know about. He also was very involved in Amendment 2 and collecting signatures. He's been here the whole way, and he usually has some really great information to bring. He's also very passionate. And that landed him high. And Tanya was brave enough to say, "Hey, whoa, what are you doing with this guy?"
Whoa, Miss
To combat, yeah, whoa, Miss Lippy. That's right.
That's what I'm saying. The judges have to go, oh,
Yeah.
you know what? Fuck, they were highly
Yeah.
emotional. I'm not going to fucking...
Be the
Boom!
biggest guy in the courtroom. Be the
Thank
biggest
you.
guy in the courtroom.
Thank you.
Show
Let me
a
put
little
you
bit
there.
of restraint. Now, if after a couple warnings,
Oh, yeah.
after a couple warnings,
I'm with you on that one.
Sometimes the manager just bumps chests with an umpire because he's got to fire a team up.
Yeah, exactly,
So
dude.
you know what, Kyle Kisner, you're fucking Lou Piniella in my book, baby.
Yes.
You're Lou Piniella. Blow in the hat. You know, and then, you know what? It was just more just to get the dugout fired up, babe.
Yep, we just went. We
So-
just scored 4 runs in the next inning.
Make sure
Let's
that
go
your
score
make
4
sure
runs
your
for
manager
him.
didn't go out there for nothing. Keep your eye on the ball. Hit this thing out of the park,
Lou
buddy.
Piniella is a pretty good reference. If you guys don't know Kyle, it might actually be a pretty good reference.
Lou Piniella. Yeah, it's actually it plays in multiple ways. Not a bad play.
Kyle, we love you. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Support all of the Missouri cannabis groups, and even the new ones coming in. I'm
And-
that guy.
and you know what?
Find out who they are and support who you like.
The lawyers asked for a little bit of help in this
Yes.
particular case. The lawyers asked that we not show our ass. The lawyers asked that
May
we,
it please the crowd.
that's what I said. If there's anything I'm leaving in the 20 teens, it's the whole if it pleases the crown attitude. But
I get
guys,
it.
we're
I get it.
really close. When we passed Amendment 2, people from legal states said, "You guys think you're there? You're not there yet.
know. They
You're
did.
you're only in the red zone. We've got a lot of work to do, and now's not the time to let our emotions pull our eyes off the ball." We love you. Thanks for tuning
Love you.
in.
Thank you.
Thanks to the Missouri
Monday?
Cannabis Network. Thanks to Ricky Starling. We tune in on Mondays.
We got a big weekend.
Yeah, we got a big weekend. We're heading to the Grow Trade Fest kickoff party at the lake. It's going to be freaking awesome. All of our Kansas City crew is going to be there. All of our Springfield crew is going to be there. A bunch of the St.
gonna be
Louis
a
crew is going to be
freak
there.
fest.
It's going to be an amalgamation of awesome people. I'm super excited. We're going to get weird at the lake and maybe do a little fishing, buddy. Maybe do a little.
It's gonna be 9 degrees, but I'll cut a hole.
That's all right. What the hell? I'm down for ice fishing, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. You want to play the outro before you click on
Monday night at 7. Mondays
at 7. You can find us here on Facebook Live. Hoosier Sophisticate, like and follow if you'd like. Mycelial Media on YouTube. Everything that streams here streams there. Plus, we have some bonus content, bonus podcasts that go up on there. And you can follow the podcast on any major platform. Hoosier Sophisticate.
Bye,
Twitter,
knuckleheads.
Find us anywhere. See you guys.